What's going on, guys, and welcome back once again. So we have 4 decks that took down set championships this past weekend, and we're going to start out with the Spice Beast OTK. Beast Relentless revolving around this combination where if you get Beast down on turn 6, then on turn 7, you play your Bayou, you move your Beast to your Bayou, you play a Sheriff of Nottingham, you then quest with your Beast, you draw a card from Bayou, you discard a card from Bayou, you discarded a card, so Sheriff of Nottingham can go put a damage on a character, which then readies your Beast, and you rinse and repeat until you win the game. Your Beast can essentially quest for unlimited lore until your opponent runs out of willpower for you to do damage to. Keeping in mind, a few things can slow this down. If they don't have characters on board, obviously it's not going to work. If their characters have ward, it is not going to work. So these are 2 of the more common ways around this. Otherwise, it's just stopping it before it happens. And you don't have to get 20 lore in one turn, because once again, this is a turn 7 play, meaning you probably have 5 to 10 lore potentially already prior. Realistically, you need probably in the 10 to 14 lore range from your Beast, which is not that hard to do. So if your opponent has 6 willpower on board that you can do damage to, that means your Beast is going to be able to get you 14 lore. So that's kind of how the little Beast loop works. I do like the ratios though here. We got 2 Sheriffs only on the 2 Bayous, which means that you're not going for broke on the combo. You're not all in, all or nothing on the Beast OTK. You have other play lines. You have like Clarabelle's in there. You have the whole Muses Bend to My Will play from like the Baja Blast deck, where you're not ramping to it quite as quickly, but at the same time you play a bunch of songs, and your songs also deal with your opponent's board, like your Friends, like your Strength, your Let the Storm Rage On, and your Strength to deal with your opponent's boards. And in the other vein of that, you have your Ursula, obviously, who you can double sing your Heffalumps. Your Strike a Good Match is just another consistency card to get to those 2 Sheriffs and the Bayous to get to the combo, if you will. Lots of different things going on here. So in your 1-drop spot, the Clarabelles and the Diablos and Hidden Cove, also the Bayou. So quite a few 1-drops, 14 in fact, 8 of which being characters. You ideally go for like your Diablo or your Clarabelle turn 1. Clarabelle also doubling up as that item removal, which can be kind of nice in a popsicle heavy meta. Your Hidden Cove, interesting to have the 4 copies of it. I get the +1/+1 is very strong, and you don't necessarily, again, have to dedicate towards the Beast OTK. Just kind of interesting to see it played, even not at 2, like a typical green steel deck would. Even if you're not going to like play 4 Bayous, I'm not advocating for that. Just the 4 Coves in general is kind of an interesting choice. 1 dock, keeping your uninkable count on the lower end, you're at 13. It's just a potential draw card. You don't want to see it early, so that's why you're playing it just as the 1. It's like a late game card that you top deck, you play it, you get 2 more cards. That's essentially what your dock is there for. Ursula, obviously, hit your opponent's songs, which is going to be their big way to deal with this. To stop you would be something like along came Zeus on your Beast before you get to use it. That's going to be one of the cleaner ways to answer it. You obviously have your Diablos and Ursulas as your heavy hitters on 3. Pete to slow down actions. Like I said, Sheriff is there for the combo. You don't want to see it too early, though, because he's uninkable. So being able to just play the couple of them and a bunch of consistency cards, I really do like the way the deck pivots that way. 4 Muses, because it's essentially, like I said, playing plan A, plan B, whatever you prioritize. Is it the dump their hand, control the board state, or is it the Beast OTK? You got multiple different routes here. You don't have to go one specific route with the deck, and I really like that with it. The 4 Clarabelles, just really good consistency card. Draw a whole bunch of cards, set up your combo when you can. So you don't really have to win turn 7, right? Like, you don't have to hit the combo in stride. You can play the Muses route, and then all of a sudden you drop the Beast down, they don't answer it, then you just slap everything else down, and it's like, okay, now I just win this turn because of it. 2 Bend to My Will. If you resolve it, you're probably winning the game. Heffalumps, slowing down their questing while drawing you cards. Strike a Good Match, also drawing cards. Steal Songs, obviously, you're welcome as well, being a form of removal and draw. Can hit your own stuff if you wish and then be able to draw. Maybe that's a reason to play more Hidden Coves, because you can shuffle your own Cove back and draw 2 cards. Not the worst thing in the world. So we got another deck to talk about. Amethyst Steel Aggro. Obviously, this is a deck that we all knew was going to be pretty good coming into the entire format, into set championships, into this weekend. It was actually the deck I highlighted and said this is my pick for the weekend. Watch out for this deck. So naturally, we're almost always right here, right? No, not always, but this time we were. We'd hit it right on the head. We called Amethyst Steel doing really well, and it had a pretty strong weekend overall. We see the 12 1-drops, not too surprising there in a very aggressive version. Your dock is going to be one of your main draw engines outside of your 1-drops in your genie, so just another card because you dump your hand really quick in this deck. So dock being live sooner, and also meaning that you can play it quicker, so you don't mind playing 4, because if you have multiples, that's not the end of the world. Calhoun, just another way to generate lore while you're trying to pressure your opponent, trying to protect your board. Between Fox and Calhoun, it also really helps you answer other aggressive style decks, so you got good matchups in that regard. We got, four snakes and Smees as well. The bounce package is going to be really strong with your white roses and your goats, just getting that instantaneous lore that your opponent can't respond with. If you need to deal with their boards, you have the Strength of the Raging Fire and your crabs, so maxing out on crab. Your Elsa's going to be very strong for getting rid of Flynn Riders, exerting just characters so you can trade into them effectively. She does a lot dealing with your opponent's genies. Like, she really is super versatile in every Amethyst deck. Should probably be playing her in 4, or at least close to it. 4 genies as well, just another very aggressive multi-questing card that draws you a card, so it's really a no-brainer, and he's evasive, so that's even better. Just the 4 strength and songs. You don't really need the friends on the other side because you have your 12 1-drops, 4 genies, 4 docks, and you're playing a very aggressive strategy. You're not really trying to extend the game into that longer point, so you don't really need those types of cards as much. You have quite a few consistency cards as is. Things to protect your Smee or to reuse your dock even. The bounce engine works really nice. Either bouncing your dock so you can replay it to draw more cards, bouncing your Smee to get the damage off of it when you replay it, bouncing your Pete to be able to just repeat your opponent, bouncing your Elsa to 1, clear the damage, 2, re-exert something else, and obviously bouncing your roses and your goats just to be able to play them and get that lore. Goat also getting you the lore when they leave the board. Overall, I like this deck a lot. It's one that if I played last weekend, I was probably going to take was an Amethyst Steel version, actually. So I do really think that it's a strong choice for the entire format right now. It just has a lot of toolbox, a lot of answers, forms of removal with like your Calhouns and your songs, being aggressive with your Smees, and having like your Pete and your Doc is just toolboxy cards that you can play. And then obviously the Amethyst consistency cards and toolbox as well is just incredibly strong. Ruby Sapphire. I almost said Ruby Blue, but if we're going to go Ruby, we might as well call it Sapphire. Ruby Sapphire. So we've been seeing lots of different versions of this deck, lots of different text popping up. We just saw Ding King Fam's list, which was super spicy. I didn't want to show that in this video because we just showed it on our top 32 breakdown video. Once that full top 64 is available and placing, I will import all that data into the spreadsheet. Link is down below. But for now, we only had access to the top 32, and we put that into our video and broke it down. So if you want to go check that out, feel free to. Otherwise, we have another list here. So in your 2-drop spot, we have Tipo as our first character. You're going to see this in most lists, not necessarily all of them, but you're going to see this in most lists. Also, the Visions from the Future, Sail the Azurite Sea, very, very popular 2-drop cards that you're going to see in these decks. On turn 1, obviously Popsicle is going to be mandatory. Develop Your Brain, starting to see more of a comeback. It's a consistency card. There's no reason not to. Then Vitalosphere and Shield of Virtue are some other tech cards. Shield of Virtue allowing you to re-ready a character, and your Vitalosphere giving it Rush and +2 Strength, or +2 Challenger, which essentially is +2 Strength when it challenges. Just more items for your hero engine, and also just utility throughout the format and throughout like things where all of a sudden your Maui can swing for 8 and take out a library in just 1 hit now. So it's got some pretty good uses there. Or your Maui Half Shark can take out a McDuck Manor in 1 hit with the +2. So just some nice little utility there in your 1-drop item spot. Pretty easy to get them out, especially when you're ramping and into that later game. You often have that extra ink to be able to do it. Super Goof seeing a lot of play. I like Super Goof a lot. I think that anything that can get you lore with your opponent not being able to respond to it and doing it right on your turn is very good. It's one of the reasons this deck has gotten better into those aggressive style decks because of cards like Super Goof. You have Grammatala as a consistency card, obviously your Hiram. And then Prince John. Prince John being able to play items for free that cost 5 or less. Well, that's all you're playing is 1 cost item. So him being able to play items for free is kind of just free. Like, you get the free advantage off of it. You get a popsicle, you get a draw. You just got to draw a card for free. And with the item on board, now if you have your Hiram, all of a sudden you get to draw 3 cards for free. 4/4 on our Mauis. Just controlling that board state, getting the utility from your half shark, being evasive, being able to get the lore from your actions, being able to grab your actions back when he kills characters. Like, this card is in this deck. This card is insane. I still don't like it in other Ruby decks, but in this deck, Maui half shark is just absolutely insane. Just the 2 Maleficents. So we're definitely seeing a huge trend into Big Sisu is not being played. And it doesn't surprise me that much, I suppose, especially because we're seeing Popsicle start to run away with the format, being more and more and more dominant, it seems like, each week. So Big Sisu's not incredibly strong into the mirror match, so it makes sense that it would start to see some less play. But I'm curious if that opens up the door for more decks to kind of come back in. And she was gatekeeping, and then she's going to find her way back into these decks. So maybe you do want to put some respect on that and possibly play her, because if this is where the meta's trending to, that's going to be one answer, is people playing a little bit more aggressively once again, because the format was starting to slow down. And if that's the way things trend, you want to get out in front of it. So playing Big Sisu actually might be the right call moving forward. 4 brawls, 4 how far all goes. Again, those are pretty standard in the deck. Be Prepared and Pirate's Life, the ratios kind of fluctuate a little bit. We've seen as much as 4 of each and as little as 1 of each. Pirate's Life is just an insane card. I've had this card used on me 4 times in one game before. Losing 8 lore. I ended up winning the game, and I don't even remember how many. Well, I must have had 28 lore total. It really puts a lot of pressure on your opponent and can pull the game right back from nothing. Like, if you're up 14-0 and all of a sudden now it's 12-2, and then you quest for a little bit and it's 15-2, and all of a sudden it's 13-4, and that it swings the game momentum so quickly. Like, Pirate's Life is really a crazy card. McDuck Manor also helping out a lot into mirror matches, into just getting it down and then worrying about your opponent's board with your other cards, with your Mauis, with your Maleficents, your B-Preps, all these other cards like that, and then just letting your McDuck Manor just snowball, roll, get more and more lore as the game goes on, to get you to where you want to go. One more deck we're going to go over, and it's another green seal, but this time it's actually a set 5 discard list. It's pretty much right out of set 5. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We go right back to it with the 4 Diablos, 2 Hidden Coves on 1. You got the 4 Morph, 4 Ursula on 2. No Calhouns, no Docs. Again, this deck was so dominant last format. I'm surprised it took so long for somebody to say, I'm just going to play that deck as was and bring it to the next format and see how it does. And it did really well. 2 Annas, this was kind of a tech spot, whether you played 0, 1, or 2. So opting for the 2 Annas there. Maybe you take these 2 out and put 2 Calhouns in. That's one change maybe I would make, just to get a little bit better into those aggressive matchups. The thing is, you really want to go for like Ursula or Morph on 2, or hit like Diablo Shift, play Cove, move to Cove. So I mean, like, Calhoun would be like option 3, 4 in most cases. So that's typically why we're seeing so much changes with the newer versions, because the 2-drop spot just got so crowded. Obviously your Diablo's insane when you can hit it on the turn 2 and just go into Diablo Shift. Anytime you play against this deck and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to mulligan, and it's just like, you might as well go to the next game. 4 Pete, you want to really stop things like grab your swords, be prep as that game goes on and gets into that later point. Any big board wipey type card is what you want to stop. Under the Sea is another one. Obviously your Big Sisu you're not going to be able to stop. You have your Ursulas, and then 2 Muses, 2 Big Tinks, and the 4 Beast, not Beast Relentless, that was the other list. The Tragic Hero Beast. I'm just saying, I still said Beast was a really good card. I've been preaching it for weeks now. I'm happy to see more and more people playing it each week. We're seeing it in Blue Steel, seeing it in a couple Amber Steel lists. We're seeing it in Emerald Steel lists, even updated Emerald Steel lists. We're seeing Beast being played more and more, and it's because he's still an incredibly strong card. I hope you guys got your copies because he's starting to creep back up. Was down to $25 a copy. It's up to $32 a copy. Again, I would hurry up and get your Beast because it's still going to be $40, $50. It's an incredibly strong card. 4 Hypnotize, 4 Sudden Chills, 4 of each of the damage songs, 4 Bruno, and again, that 2 Hidden Cove in your 1-drop spot. There's really not a whole lot else to say about the deck that we haven't talked about for the last 3 months in all last format. It's just incredibly strong. It can be incredibly annoying to go against. It's resilient. It's got a strong late push. It does so much, and especially with like big Sisu Ice Block not seeing much play, with Medusa not seeing much play, like that just opens the door for Beast Tragic Hero so quickly. This card is so strong, and then you put Morph in there and potentially hit it on a turn 3 shift. There's just so much you can do with this deck, and I think it's very strong. And like I said, I was surprised someone didn't come out and just say, I'm going to play the set 5 discard list sooner, because it's still an incredibly strong deck. Let me know what you guys think down below. Which was your biggest surprise, as if we don't already know? Have you seen any other spicy decks at your locals that you want to give shout outs to? Or how are you planning to do this? What do we have? 2 weekends of set championships left. How many events you got left? I think I'm done this time around. Got a few scars already. I don't really need to go anymore, and I just don't feel like driving over an hour to go play. Once again, I've been enjoying my little bit of breaks on the weekends. But thanks for watching. Until next time, guys, like, share, subscribe, comment down below.